Hi, collective. Okay, so this is going to be the second part to the Twin Flame Chronicles where I continue to tell you about my story. Okay, so let's start off. We're going to start from the beginning. So, as I told you, I'm sure I told you in the first video, I started my Twin Flame journey back in 2000 when, like, my governor, the governor of my state, was talking about shutting down the state. I'd always wanted to start a YouTube channel. So, I figured, no time like the present. So I said, okay, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I started the YouTube channel, and I was like, I had seen all these people doing tarot, and I was like, well, hell, I do tarot, because I had been messing around with tarot cards since I was like, a teenager, you know? So for me, it was a no-brainer for me to go ahead and do tarot, because I was like, oh, so tarot is big on YouTube, then I might as well, go into it, and then that way I can do something that I enjoy doing, and I'll be able to help people and so on and so forth. But anyway, so I started the channel, and around the same time that I started the channel, that was when I got activated. Okay, so I don't know if you understand a lot about how the twin flame process works. I know you understand like what the experience is like, but a lot of people don't understand that there's like certain stages and things that you go through, right? But remember, this is my experience. Okay, your mileage may vary. Everybody's experience is different. So usually in the beginning, from what I've the research I've done, and also what I've experienced, there's an activation that has to occur in order to start the spiritual awakening. So I got activated, like I said, back in 2020, like probably like the middle of 2020, but it was by a false flame. Okay, I'm sure you may have heard that term before. If you have not, what a false flame is it someone that comes into your life and activates your spiritual awakening, and you have a very similar, if not the same, experience that you have with a twin flame, only this person is not really your twin flame. Okay, and a lot of times, from what I've heard from other people, that this wasn't the case for me, but what I've heard from other people is the false flame can sometimes do like a lot of crazy stuff that even your twin flame wouldn't do. But I don't know. I don't know about that, because the things that my twin did, they really were detrimental to me. Okay. So the false flame, like, came in, activated my journey, and I went through all the stuff that I talked to y'all about in the readings. And those of you who have been rocking with me since the beginning of this channel, that's where all the videos have gone. They're still on the channel, but I had to take them down because someone was duplicating my work and using it to make money. Okay. I went through this activation with this person. I went through the spiritual awakening. I did. I had a dark night of the soul. I was told by spirit, just like I was told by spirit with the actual twin flame, to tell the person how I felt. The person ran. It was like a whole bunch of stuff. But with the false flame, there wasn't a lot of communication with the false flame, just like it was with my real twin. Okay, so. But during that time period of years, I grew a lot throughout the false flame journey. Okay. And I didn't understand at the time, like when I found out that that person wasn't really my twin flame, I didn't understand why why they did that, why they used a false flame to activate my journey, until I met my real twin. Because as I told you before, there's a 30-year age gap between me and my real twin. And if they, he would have been too young for us to go through the activation at the time that I needed to go through it. So I guess I had to, because the divine feminine is the person that is the furthest along, because we've been here longer, okay? And we're supposed to go ahead of the divine masculine so that we, you know, can prepare. Like I guess there's more stuff for us to learn, and maybe, by us going first, I feel like in some way it's supposed to help the divine masculine on their journey as well. But when they going through that period where they're going crazy, I don't know how much help you can be, because they're not going to listen to anything you say, or so on and so forth. But anyway, so um I went through the false flame journey. It lasted like 3, maybe 4 years, and it was a lot. It was a lot. I'm going to tell you that, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to keep it real. Just like I keep it real with y'all, I keep it real with myself. Okay. Because I'm not normally this open. Okay. Especially on social media. I'm really not this open. I don't let people into what's going on with me. I've just always been a very private person, but spirit has, come to me, and, they're guiding me on this journey, and I trust them wholeheartedly. Like I said, don't get me wrong. Sometimes we go back and forth. And I know sometimes they like, if you don't shut your damn mouth, because, like I am who I am, and I have my ups and downs just like everybody else. And so but I, going through this spiritual awakening and going through this twin flame journey, I've learned to rely and trust my spiritual team a lot. Okay, really a lot. And so it's gotten to the point now where I'm not going to say that sometimes if they tell me things, I am going to, just be like, okay, yeah, some things I'm like that with them, but some things I still got to learn. Sometimes I still have to learn it on my own. Like they say, don't take away somebody's lessons. They got to figure it out on their own. But sometimes they try to get me somewhere faster. And I've started to learn that sometimes I just need to listen to what they're telling me. Okay. Because, everybody's got their stubborn side, even me. Okay. And I'm not a Taurus, but even I'm stubborn too. But anyway, I'm just messing with y'all Tauruses that are watching this. It was a very tumultuous journey. I mean, because I went through Dark Night of the Soul, it had to be like twice. And it was a rewarding journey at the same time, because I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about life. It caused me to go back and look at a lot of things from the past that I had suppressed because, I didn't have the easiest life growing up. Okay. So I had to go back and look at some of those things. And there's still things that I need to go back and look at. It helped me a lot because I got to heal a lot of things that should have been healed a long time ago, but I didn't realize how important it was to this journey and to the spiritual awakening for me to do that. That's why I always tell y'all, if you can heal something, go back and heal it, because it will make things easier. It will make things easier, not just with your twin, not just with you going through the journey, but just your life in general and your relationships with other people. Okay. Because a lot of times, like I think I've told y'all this before. It's like, if you have all these wounds and this pain that you're carrying, it's like like you have a pair of shades that you haven't cleaned in a long time, and it's got fingerprints and dirt and all kinds of crap on it, and you're putting them on, trying to look through the lenses at life, and it's gonna be damn distorted if you do that. You're not gonna be able to get a full and clear picture of what's happening in your life, because you're thinking about stuff or applying situations that happened in the past that have nothing to do with what's going on, or because you got hurt and you didn't heal it. It's coloring how you act, and the thoughts you have, and the beliefs you have, and and how you handle certain situations. I started the channel, and then I think that's how it evolved, because I just started off saying that I wanted to read tarot, and I wanted to read tarot, about love relationships. And then as I continued on, it's ended up cycling into me doing the twin flames, because I'm going through the same things y'all are going through. And so to me, it was a no-brainer for me to read for twins, because like I said, there's a lot of people out there who don't understand this journey because they've never been on it. And there are naysayers that want to try to tell you that this doesn't exist and you're making it up and all this kind of stuff. And I talk to a lot of people who just feel alone, and they feel like, they don't have anybody to talk to about it. And so it made me understand how important it is as a reader for me to be there, to read and stuff for y'all, because you need that. People need support. And when you're going through something that nobody else around you can understand, that's a lonely place to be, And so don't get me wrong, y'all help me too. Because when y'all tell me your stories in the comments, or if I read for the people that I've read for, they tell me like their whole circumstance and things that are going on. And I have people that I've known for years through this channel that have kept me updated with what's going on in their lives and stuff like that. Like I said, it helps me too. So I feel like this channel is a win-win situation for everybody. When I went through the false flame journey, okay, and spirit used it to activate me, I experienced pretty much the same thing that I experienced when I got, activated a second time with my real flame. So that means I went through telepathy. I got a few notes here. So when you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. I experienced telepathy, very vivid dreams. I even had this person come to me in dreams and talk to me just like I'm talking to you right now on this video. Okay. I've had an astral visit from that person. I've had angels visit me at night. I've done the obsession and the longing with that person, all the ups and downs, like I said, telling them how I feel and having them run. I didn't know if anybody had come up to me and told me, oh, it was a false flame journey, I would have argued them up and down and been like, no, the hell it wasn't. Okay. But the way I really understood that it was a false flame was when I got activated by my real twin. So I got activated by my real twin actually this year. This person came up to me, and I'm not going to be very specific about this person because I'm telling my story from my point of view, and I'm not trying to cast anybody in a bad light, or out them to the world or anything like that. This is not like a revenge video. I just want to tell my story, like I said, because even if I am able to help one person, that to me means that I did, one of the things that I've come here to do, that to me was a mission of this channel, is to like help other people that are going through the same thing, that, like I said, may feel lost and need help. But anyway, I had seen this person around, right? And we actually had a couple of interactions before they finally like stepped to me and was like, one day we just ran into each other. It's like we kept running into each other. Okay, so we ran into each other maybe three other times before we actually really started like talking to each other. So on the day that we actually started the activation, my twin came up to me and asked me for my phone number. So I gave him my phone number. First he asked me, was I single? And I told him yes, I was. And then he asked me for my phone number, and I gave him my phone number. So we started to text back and forth, right? And we texted for like hours the first time that we talked to each other. And like I told you, I'm a very private person, and sometimes it can be very difficult, depending on what's going on in my life. It can be very difficult for me to open up to other people, especially in a romantic capacity, because I've been through like all these things we talk about on the channel. You know, I've experienced a lot of them. Let me just say it like that. I've experienced the one-sided relationships. I've experienced, you know, the stuff where you go into a relationship and you try to put your all into it, and you've been with this person for a long time, and then the other, you know, they want to be in and out and do whatever the hell they want to do. I've experienced like a lot of that, you know, maybe not every single thing, but I've experienced quite a bit of it. We had texted for hours, and then in the middle of the conversation, he left me on red. And I was like, I remember I was just like, I said, well, you know, I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. I said, you know, things happen. You know, it could have been an emergency. It could have been, you know, he could have fallen asleep because it, you know, it had gotten kind of, you know, it wasn't late, but it had gotten kind of late, you know, while we were talking to each other. So I said, just let me leave it alone, and I'll wait and see what happens the next day. So the next day, I get a text like, I don't know, like 5 o'clock in the morning or something like that. But I didn't get it until I woke up because I keep my phone on do not disturb after a certain time. When I got up, I saw, you know, that it was before noon, but I saw the text message. When he texted, he apologized for not continuing the conversation the night before. So we continued to text back and forth. Again, he kept asking for us to get together. I was working a lot of hours. He had asked, like, I don't know, like maybe two times, 2 or 3 times or whatever. And I had made a promise to myself, and I had made a promise to spirit, because they keep telling me I need to open myself up. So I made a promise to both spirit and myself that when the next person came in, I was going to make it more of an effort to open myself up. I said, okay, that particular day when I was working, it happened to be a little slow. And I have a job where a second job where I can work when I want to work, and when I don't want to work, I don't have to work. So because it was slow that day, I said, okay, we could, you know, meet up for a few minutes or whatever, and then have some face to face time, because he had never, like, I like, okay, let me say this. I'm old school. I like to talk either like on the phone or FaceTime or in person rather than text messages. Okay, because I come from a time when there was no cell phones. So for me, it's not a huge foreign concept, but because I didn't start out like the, you know, the millennials and the people today, the younger people, and like I said, I like the convenience of technology, but some of these things I feel like keep us at an unnecessary arm's length. Okay. In a way, I feel like it's good because, like, for instance, with online dating, you're able to have a larger pool of people to choose from, and you have more of an opportunity to meet a lot of different people. But when it comes to like getting to know somebody, I'm old school. I thought it was a little weird that he never wanted to talk on the phone because, like I said, my old school explanation. To me, texting is more for situations where you already have an established relationship with someone, okay? Or you're in a place or in a situation at that time where you can't talk on the phone, or you can't FaceTime, okay? Or you can't see that person, you know, face to face. I don't enjoy situations where that's all it is text messaging. I don't like, because I don't feel like I can connect with somebody like that. Just like with the reading the cards. That's why I started showing my face, because I want to really connect with the people that I read for, and I want them to be able to connect with me and to see, you know, to see my face and hear my voice. I know sometimes you can hear my voice and you can hear the emotion in my voice. And those of you who used to watch me, you know, old school, the old videos, I used to really get animated in my videos. Like those of you who, the Aquarians, y'all know, because that Aquarius video that I put out last week, you know, I got, or I put out a few days ago, that video, how animated I got, that's normally how I used to read. Okay. So, and I still read like that sometimes, but I gotta really be into whatever I'm talking about for me to, for me to do. After that first conversation we had the night before, the text message conversation, I had really started to like him. So when I had proposed that we do that, the place was like, really convenient. It was like right across the street from where he was. So he didn't answer after I told him where. He didn't answer. He left me on red again. And so let me say this. I am just in a completely different place now than I was all those years ago when I was pre-spiritual awakening. Okay. I'm just gonna be honest with you. The old Leigh probably would have tried to, see what was going on or why, I was being left on red the second time. But I love the fuck out of myself right now. Okay. Now, okay. I've worked a lot on self-love, and it's just certain fucking things I'm not going to take anymore. And being left on red without a good reason is one of them. Okay. Especially if you had done it before. Okay. And so for some of you, that may be a light thing for you, but for me, it's not. That's why I'm not pro text message, because if you're talking to somebody on the phone or you're FaceTiming someone and you get into a situation where you can no longer do that, you have to wrap it up. You can't just hang up the phone. Well, I mean, you can do that, but that would be considered really disrespectful. And so that to me was the equivalent of what he did by leaving me on red, right? And like I said, he had done it twice. And the first time he apologized for it. So that's why I said, nope, we're going to let it go. I said, I'm not going to be, that much of a hard ass. I'm going to let that go. But when he did it the second time, I was like, fuck this shit. And I just blocked his ass because I couldn't believe. I was like, let me say this. I know this video is all over the place, but this is how I have to tell the story. And I told you, I'm not going to write a script and do all that because I want this to be like, two people sitting down or a bunch of people sitting down having a conversation. Okay. I had to block him. I felt like I had to block him. I felt like it was the right thing to do. And I felt like that was what my intuition was telling me to do too, because it's a new Leigh. It's a new Leigh. That's why I preach about the self-love as much as I do, because once you really fucking love yourself, I'm telling you, you a completely different person. And the red flags that you used to let go, let pass you by, and the things you used to let people do to you, not happening, not fucking happening. So I blocked him, and I was proud of myself that I blocked him, not because, I showed up and I was being, trying to be a mean girl. It wasn't like that. It was me. To me, blocking him was me standing up for myself, saying this type of behavior is unfucking acceptable, basically. Okay. So days go by and days go by. I don't hear nothing, right? But the place that the person worked at was a place that I would go to on a regular basis. Okay. I ended up having to go to that place like for several days after what happened, after I blocked him. And I actually saw him, and he just acted like it was like nothing was going on. So I said, okay, it hurt my feelings that because I had started to like him, but it kind of like freaked me out a little bit, because I'm like, why the hell do I like this person only after us exchanging text messages? Hell, I don't know, for a few hours over the course of 2 days. Why did it have the effect on me that it did? Okay, he didn't say nothing, and I didn't say nothing because I felt like I was the injured party in the situation. If I was in his shoes and I was the one that was doing that to somebody, right? You know you're doing something wrong, right? Because if you didn't know you were doing, if you didn't know you weren't doing anything wrong, then why would you apologize the first time you did it, right? So to me, this dude was low key, not even low key. He was breadcrumbing. It was like he would, give to it a little bit and then pull back, pull back and leave me on red. And then he did it the second day. But like I said, once I started to see the patterns, like I said, I have mad discernment now. When I start to see the patterns, I said, okay, I can't deal with this. I tried to walk away and act like it didn't matter, but I found myself being angry that this had happened. And like I said, to somebody that's not in the twin flame connection, you probably like, why the hell she getting mad at this dude for not answering her text messages? And I'm with you. I'm with you on that. If this wasn't a twin flame journey, I would have been the same damn way, because I was asking myself. Because at this point, you got to understand that I didn't know that he was my twin flame. Remember, I'm still thinking it's the other dude that's my twin flame, right? Because this is who I had gone through all this stuff with, was the other guy. So I'm talking to spirit, because this is something I do. Like, I read for y'all, but I read for myself too. So I'm sitting at the table and I have conversations with spirit, like through the cards. Like, we talk to, or like they'll send me things and stuff like that. So I'm sitting at the table and we're having a conversation, and I'm like, okay, well, tell me about my twin, thinking about the other dude, because I'm like, this dude is clearly not somebody that I need to be messing with if he's doing this. Because to me, I look at it like this: if you're trying to build something with somebody, right? I equate it to like a piggy bank, like you trying to save money in the piggy bank. How you gonna not put money in the piggy bank, right? And then bust it open, thinking you're gonna get something out of it. Okay, do you catch my drift? Then how are you not going to give to the connection, or give a little bit and then pull back, and then expect the person to be still standing there when you feel like you want to go back? So, like I said, and then I'm the type of person where I give you a few chances before I start to say something, or before I let you go. You have to have done something to me more than once. Okay. And let me say this, because I forgot to add this to the story. When he came back after that first night of leaving me on red, I explicitly told him, I set my boundary, and I told him, I said, hey, I said, you know, I just want to make sure you understand that while we're getting to know each other or whatever, and just period, I don't like mind games. I don't like games. And so he was, try to act like he didn't understand what I was saying. And I was just letting him know. I said, it's people out here. I said, I'm not saying that's what you're doing. Because this is before he did it the second time, before he left me on red the second time. I said, I'm not saying that you are specifically trying to play mind games with me, but I had caught a whiff of it, because I'm not a damn dummy. Y'all not a damn dummy neither. You know what the hell is going on, and he know what's going on. But anyway, I digress. So I told him, I said, if we're going to continue to move forward, I just want to make sure that you understand that, there are people out there that like to play mind games, but I'm not one of them. So I set the boundary to let him know what is acceptable for me. Okay. So he was like, oh, no mind games here, or whatever. And so I said, okay. And so that's why I left it alone. All right. I forgot to put that in there before we got to the second time he left me on red. That's why I just left, because I said, I explained to you that mind games for me are unacceptable, and you still continue, you still went on and did what you did before. Or he could have just been like, hey, you know, I got something to do. I'm about to go, whatever. Just something. I'm busy right now, so we'll have to pick this up tomorrow. That's all he had to say. It's like a month passes or whatever. I think it's like a month, and all that time, I'm getting angrier and angrier and angrier. And this is not, let me say this is not normally me. Looking back on it, that's when I should have known something was up, because I've had people try to do shit like what he did before. And as soon as I caught on to it, I cut him out, and then that was it. And I never gave him a second thought, you know? So, but with this, I was out, because in my mind, I'm like, you not gonna fix it. You not even gonna you gonna see me outside and not even say, hey, I tried to text you and you didn't answer back, or whatever, whatever, whatever. So that let me know that he knew exactly what he was doing. Because why would you do that and then not try to fix it if you really was innocent and you really didn't mean nothing by it? You see what I'm saying? So a whole month goes by, and I'm seeing him at his, place of work. He's seeing me and not saying nothing, right? And so, like I said, let me fast forward to the conversation. So after after about a month, I'm reading cards and talking to spirit, right? I'm reading my own situation. And I'm focusing on the person that I'm thinking is my the false flame, thinking that who I still think is my real flame, real twin flame. And so when I ask about him, spirit starts to talk about this other dude, and then they put the twin flame card in the reading. And so I'm thinking, because I asked about the false flame, that they talking about the false flame. I'm not even, because I'm angry, right? So then the next day we have another conversation, and then spirit puts the twin flame card again. We have a conversation about the dude, the real twin flame, and they put the twin flame card on his side of the reading. And then that's when it fucking clicked, and I was like, oh God, this damn dude is my fucking twin flame. It took me a minute because I told you that I couldn't tell the difference. Like when I compared the two, I couldn't tell the difference between my twin flame experience with the false flame and my twin flame experience with the real one. I couldn't tell. And so the only difference now is that when I see the false flame, the feelings that they used to come up when I would see him, I don't have nothing. It's almost like he's a complete stranger. That's what it's like. It's like all of those feelings that were superimposed on him have been taken off because the real one is here now. Okay? So I had talked to spirit about what happened. I had been talking to them before, but it wasn't like, this was like a really heartfelt conversation, because like I would be talking to them, without not sitting at the table, but just out and about during the day. But the two conversations that I had with them at this table, when they were trying to tell me that he was my twin, after the second conversation, because I kept just trying to ask them, I was like, why am I so dang angry? I just didn't understand. And then they, like I said, they put the card there, and then that's when I understood. And they were trying to get me to understand that this was the twin flame journey, and that this dude, the pride and the ego, all the things that I explained to y'all, they were explaining it to me. So that goes to show that even if you know the whole situation and you know what's supposed to happen in a twin flame connection, sometimes when you in it, you get lost in it like everybody else, because I'm human just like everybody else. So when we had when I had that conversation with spirit, it was like all of the anger fell off. I was able to release the anger, and once I released the anger, here come the damn love. And I'm like, I'm in love with this dude, and I only talk to him I only spoken to him a handful of times and talked to him twice. Like it was for hours, but like twice by text message, and that's why I understand. I know how y'all feel because you like, am I damn crazy? What is going on? I thought the other dude was my twin, and I kind of find out this dude is my twin, and I'm just like the age gap. I'm like, I don't, this dude is too young for me. I'm thinking all this crazy stuff, and so then when I'm talking to spirit encourages me to go and tell him how I feel. Okay. And I'm like, but why am I going to do that after he didn't even try to fix what happened between us? And he just moving on like it wasn't nothing. But spirit is telling me that this dude is in love with me, right? He feel the same way I feel. And so, like I told you, I trust spirit, okay? Because in situations like when I said that, when the guy came in and I had made the decision to tell spirit, okay, the next person that comes in, I'm going to let him in, right? Because like I told you, the reason why I was letting him in was because I'm, thinking maybe I need to open myself up to other possibilities to kind of like back up off of this other guy that I thought was, back up off the false flame, because I thought he was, at that time I thought he was real. And so, but let me say this. When I first started talking to him, see, there's other things that I forgot in the story. That's why I was trying to make a little loose outline, but okay, you see how that went. Anyway, when I first, like the day that he asked me for my phone number, we back and forth, we texting back and forth, I pulled the cards on him because I wanted to know what spirit was going to tell me about it. I'm like, is this somebody, I was asking, was this somebody that I can trust or whatever? Because I don't know this, even though this person, is my twin flame, I don't know this person. I don't know this person. I know them on the spiritual level, but I don't know them in the 3D. So I had to, I had to ask. And so I go based on what spirit is telling me. So when I first asked about him, not the trust thing, I didn't ask that first. The first thing I asked was what was going to be so between the two of us. And in the cards, they told me that I was going to be left out in the cold, or one of us was going to be left out in the cold. That's what they said. The Five of Pentacles was going to be the outcome. And I asked, I said, is it me that's going to mess it up, or is it him that's going to mess it up? And they told me that it was going to be him. And I, like I said, with tarot cards, you cannot predict free will. So I was trying to give the dude the benefit of the doubt. And I was saying, okay, I hear what y'all saying. And I went and watched another reader that I trust pretty well with their predictions to see what they were going to say. And they pretty much said the same thing that spirit said. So I said, okay, I'm still, but I said, let me still try to give them the benefit of the doubt. This is before I knew this person was a twin, was my twin, because people make mistakes. This was the first time he left me on red. And I was like, people make mistakes, people fall asleep, things happen. And I'm like, you can't be on someone's ass all the time if they do something wrong, because people are going to make mistakes. That's because I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. So, like I said, when he apologized, that's what made me say, okay, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's try it again. Because, you're going to step wrong in this life. You ain't going to do everything right. So back to, we're going to jump forward now, back to when spirit is telling me that I should go and tell him how I feel. Okay, this is one of those times where, remember I told you I don't always just blindly go and do what they tell me to do. This one I fought. because I'm like, why would I go and tell this person that I got feelings for them when they basically, ghosted me twice, right? Ghosted me or left me on red twice, left me out in the cold twice. So, and I blocked them. And then a whole month passed by and they didn't even try to fix the situation, right? And then based on what Spirit was saying, he was pissed at me for because I let me go back. So basically what Spirit was saying was him leaving me on red. Those were my triggers. All right. When I blocked him, I triggered his shit, right? So because of that, he was angry at me, but to him, he didn't do anything wrong. It was all my fault. Okay. So I said, okay. I'm laughing because that's bullshit. But I said, okay. And that's what I'm telling Spirit. That's why we arguing back and forth. Because I'm like, why the hell should I go and tell this dude how I feel? He don't deserve it. Because you leave me on red twice. I block your ass, which I feel like you deserved. And then you don't even try to fucking fix it. You don't even try to fucking fix it. Okay. So I was like, I said, I was pissed about that. I've since gotten over it, because if I hadn't gotten over it, I wouldn't be able to tell this story and laugh at it. I would still be going off. I'm like, I don't want to be somebody, out here chasing people and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, this is a new me. I'm all like, this is a new me. I love myself, and I'm not going to be, I'm going off and not going off on Spirit, but going off about the situation on the dude. Just going off, talking to Spirit. And Spirit is like, this is not chasing. You letting this person know how you feel. So I said, okay, Spirit. I said, I'm going to listen to what you say. I said, I don't think, the person deserves it or whatever. I said, well, I'm going to listen to what you say. I unblocked him, and I waited a couple of days, and then I sent him a text message, right? So the whole time he answers back, the whole time we texting back and forth. Again, this is why I don't like text message, because you can, misread things and stuff like that. But I really honestly felt energetically when I'm telling you, this is what I felt energetically. And I always listen to what I feel energetically. Okay. So energetically, he was catching a fucking attitude of text messages when we was going back and forth. Cause I came at him and was telling him how I felt about what he did. And he was saying something about he was going through stuff or whatever, or something was, going on or whatever. But the way it was coming off energetically was like, I did what I did and I said what I said, like basing his voice and all this kind of shit, like aggression, right? So I'm like, I'm the type of person where, that to me, I don't like that, because like I said, when I came at him, I had let go of the majority of the anger. And so I'm like, if I'm coming to you in a respectful manner, you need to be responding to me in a respectful manner. But like I said, he talked around everything and basically just didn't take accountability. He said he took accountability, but he didn't. And I told him that if he really did take accountability, he would have apologized. The apology would have been off the rip if he really did take accountability for what he did. Okay. And so you have to remember, my grandmother passed away at the beginning of this year. And as I've told some of y'all in the readings, she was like the person that I loved the most in this world. Okay. I had been with her all my life. Okay. So I was already going through that. And so I'm getting upset over her. It's not over him, because I'm done with that. I've forgiven him and let it go. But I'm still grieving my grandmother, because it's August. It's only been 8 months. It hadn't even been a year, and this month is going to be her birthday in a few days. So I'm still coming to terms with that. And those of you who are going through grief or have been through grief, my heart goes out to you, because it is not a straight line. Okay, just like they say success is not a straight line, neither is grief. Because it's like you'll have good days and then something will remind you of your person and you just crying like a baby. Okay, so I explained it to him. He knew this too, because I had told him this when we were texting back and forth the 2 days that we did. And I'm like, I'm going through this grief with my grandmother. And I said, and now I have somebody, that's come into my life that's basically acting like an ass. And I'm supposed to have to put up with that. And that, it just, like I said, it just left a bad taste in my mouth. The leaving me on red left a bad taste in my mouth. The attitude left a bad taste in my mouth. And the not trying to fix it, that left a bad taste in my mouth, because I'm like, Spirit, is this supposed to be somebody, y'all talking about twins? Like, this is supposed to be the person that I'm supposed to spend like be in a long-term relationship with, or spend the rest of my life with, once we both get it together. And I'm like, he can't even fucking fix a simple thing that happened between the both of us. Because I feel like what happened wasn't it wasn't the end of the world. It wasn't a good thing, but it wasn't the end of the damn world. And if, like I said, that had been, but see, I was saying, if that had been me, I would have tried to fix it. But let me say this, I wouldn't have done that to begin with, because I don't do that to people. I don't do that to people. If I do something like that to you, it's because you done it to me. Okay? And you've done it to me, over a period of time, but not now. Not now. You only get twice. The first time I let it go, you acknowledge what you did, I let it go. The second time, because I set the boundary after the first time. And the second time, if you doing it, and like I said, we don't know each other. So I'm like, you have to build up a rapport with somebody and show consistency, I feel like, before you start acting a damn fool. Because what is the other person supposed to think? Because to me, all of that shit showed me that he didn't give a fuck about me, and he didn't give a fuck about my feelings. Okay? I'm sorry, I gotta be straight up. Because like I told you, I'm straight up, just like I am when I sit this table and I read for y'all. I'm gonna be straight up when I tell this story. So I felt like a damn fool. I'm like, here I am spending my time that I could have been using to do something else, trying to get to know your ass, and you ain't even taking it. I felt like he wasn't taking it seriously, like he was trying to play a game. And I'm like, mm-mm. And then that made me think about the age thing, because he felt self-conscious about the age thing, all right? And because he made it a specific reference to it and talked about how um he didn't want me to hold the age gap between us. And so, like I told you, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I didn't feel some kind of way about it, because I feel like we had in two different places in our lives. Like he just starting his life, and I'm way past that. But when you in your 20s, those of you who are older than your 20s, that when you in your 20s, like your early 20s, you think you know everything and you don't fucking know shit. And I'm saying it about myself too. You think you know everything, and then when you get older, you like, bitch, I didn't know nothing. Okay? So I just felt like it was a big old mess. And so I just pretty much told him what I needed to tell him, and I let it go. I let him go, because I was just like, I could see that it was futile. Let me say that, because it was like talking to a wall. It was like he had no emotion. He was like really cold, and like I said, I could feel it energetically, because remember, we linked, right? But what's so crazy about it is that he would be sending me messages. I could actually see things he was doing, like when he thought about me. Let me say this: when we would text, let me tell you how freaky it was. When we was texting each other back and forth, Right before he was about to text me, right before them damn bubbles jumped up on the phone, I could, I knew it. I could feel him in my mind about the fucking text right before it texts. So that's what I'm saying. Y'all know y'all going through, some similar freaky experiences. So everybody can't be hallucinating. Everybody can't be making this shit up. And then, like I said, spirit is not gonna sit and tell lies and do all kinds of stuff like that. You know, spirit is like the one. My spiritual team is like the one group of beings that I trust. The spiritual team, and God, the universe. Whoever you refer to God as, that's who I trust. Unequivocally, right? So it just was crazy to me, and I was like, I got to leave him alone. So that was when we had the conversation at the table after this text message session. That was when we had the conversation. I had the conversation with spirit at the table, and they told me I needed to tell him how I felt. And of course I didn't want to do it because I felt like I said, he had just left an all around bad taste in my mouth. I didn't want to talk to him. I didn't want to interact with him. I didn't want to do nothing. But remember what we talk about in the readings, right? It was like them feelings was coming up. They was coming up, coming up, coming up like this, and they were here. And it was like I had to tell it. I had to tell it. And I kept on trying to fight it until like a couple of days or something like that, or maybe a week after I had that last text message session with him. I sent him a text message and told him how I felt about it. Okay. And I didn't get any answer back, but I wasn't blocked. Cause you can tell on the phone when you're blocked, cause you can look it up if you don't know the signs of when you're blocked and when you're not. You can look it up online and they'll tell you, when you're blocked from someone or not. So he got the text message, and I remember a day or two after I sent him the text message, and I happened to see him again, and I remember he looked dead in my face and then turned his back to me to let me know that like he was telling me fuck you. And so I said, okay. That was when I was done. I was like, I can't be getting abused like that. I was like, I can't be getting abused like that, because I said he's being very, very abusive, and he's walking around acting angry when he was the one that drew first blood, wasn't me. And so I'm saying all of this to say that the reason all of this is happening, the reason all of this was happening was spirit was trying to teach me a lesson, or had prepared a lesson for me to understand what I deserve in a relationship and what I don't. And I'm the one that has to come to Jesus about this situation, just like y'all do with your person, with whatever your person is doing. Because I done heard all kinds of stories, all kinds of horrible shit that people have told me that their twin has done to them. And so you have to stop being a doormat for that person and allowing them to mistreat you like that. You have to stop doing that, because I understand why you do it, because I'm a former person that used to do stuff like that. It's because you think that by trying to be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem, you're going to get them to come around some kind of way. And maybe in a regular relationship or regular friendship or whatever, or regular some type of relationship with somebody else that's not your twin, you might have been successful trying to come to them and raise the white flag. But for a twin flame, all it does is make the motherfucker run even more, even farther. Okay? And so by the time all of this happened, I just was disgusted. And I just had enough. And but it was like I couldn't leave. It was like the love that I felt for this person had me damn chained. And that's one of the things I hate about the twin flame connection. I understand why it's happening. And so that's why I'm telling y'all this in-depth story, because I want you to understand, take my story and understand what is happening to you. All of these things that this person did to me were triggers. Everything. The being left on red, okay, was a trigger. The not, wanting to make up, not wanting to make up, not wanting to try to work it out, that was a trigger for me. The texting, and same thing, being left on red again, like numerous times. All of these things were, me confessing my feelings and the person not saying anything. All of those things for me, had to do with abandonment wounds, the guilt wounds, all those things that I talk about in the readings that, need to be healed, was the same thing, same thing for me. So I had to sit down and address those things. And what helped me was the self-love. Okay? Let me say that straight up. Okay? Remember when I told you I'm not the same Leigh I was years ago. Like when I first started the channel, even last year, I'm not the same person I was. Okay? This Leigh is not going to let you do too much. Okay. The only reason why this person got as far as they did in it with this situation was because of the damn connection, the spiritual connection, and the fucking love. That's what it is. And the urge is, like I said, people don't understand. Only if you've gone through it do you understand. Because on the outside looking in, if I'm listening to somebody tell this story that I just told you, and I'm not in a twin flame connection or never have been in one or don't know nothing about it, I'd be like, bitch, you crazy. You should have just left the motherfucker alone after he ghosted you the first time. And I'm like, I'm there with you. I feel the same damn way. I should have left the motherfucker alone the first time. But I didn't, because like I said, there was this pull and I didn't even realize it at the time that I had been activated in the damn twin flame, in a twin flame connection. Okay. So I had to sit down and have a come to Jesus moment. I had to look at all the things, all the ways in which he had upset me, and I had to deal with those things. Okay. I had to look at, he's running from me. So I have to look at the places in my life where I'm running from myself. Okay. Or where I'm not giving myself the self-care that I need. Because even with self-love, sometimes you fall short. Sometimes you're not always going to hit the mark every time. That's why I tell y'all to be gentle with yourselves. Okay. And then you got to look at the situation of, feeling like a fool or feeling ashamed that you told this person how you felt and they still acted a damn ass. Like I said, don't be mean and don't be hard on yourself. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing ever wrong with you going to somebody and expressing your love. Even if they don't, respond to you in the way that you deserve or respond to you in the way that you want. That to me is growth for you to be able to do that to somebody. Okay. And you have to understand the twin flame connection is not like any other connection. Whereas you might have gotten a response, or for the both of you and this person to come back together and for them to agree to work it out with you in a regular relationship. In this connection, that's not going to happen, because as I told you, this person is running, they're triggered by you, like me, when I walked away from him and I blocked him, that triggered his abandonment wounds. Okay. My person is somebody that loves attention. Okay. And they will do anything they can in order to get attention. And so this person's way of getting attention, or at least trying to get it from me, I can't talk about the way he acts with anybody else, because I only know what happened with me, is to breadcrumb people. I honestly, seriously believe, okay, I'm being really vulnerable with y'all to tell y'all this. I honestly, seriously believe that in the beginning, for him, it was a sex thing. I was supposed to be a notch on his belt. That's really honestly what I believe about him. Okay. And that he got into the situation with me and was, talking to me and got activated like I did. And that, when when he breadcrumbed and I abandoned and walked away from him and blocked him, I feel like he tried to walk away and then was like, oh shit, I got all these feelings and stuff like that. But they're going to keep running because, like I said, the pride and the ego will not let them have a normal come to Jesus moment. And because these are things that they have to overcome, just like our triggers are things that we have to overcome. And if we don't overcome them, the only thing that's going to happen is whenever you interact with this person, they're going to keep triggering you and keep running. Okay. You're going to trigger them. They're going to run. They come back. Like I said, that's why I tell you, those of you that want your person back and you think that when they're coming back to confess to you but they're still in the pride and ego, you think that, y'all can work it out and you can fix it. It's because you still sitting in the mindset of a regular relationship. With a regular relationship, yeah, you might be able to fix it if the person is willing to try to be different. But if your person is not ready to be different, it's not going to work. You're wasting your time. That's why I tell y'all, pull the focus back on yourself, because that's what I did. Pull the focus back onto yourself. Continue to love yourself. Continue to put yourself first and let that person blow in the wind, because they know exactly what they're doing. Okay. And they even deep down inside, especially on a subconscious level, they feel ashamed and guilty, and they feel all that love that they feel for you, but they're so busy damn running that they can't address it because your energy is there. Okay. That's why they're so obsessive. That's why they watch you. Even though they're running, they watch you, because every time I read about this person, I read myself and I read about this person, or even if I watch other readers, the first thing they always tell me about him is he's watching me. He's watching me. He's somewhere watching me. He's either watching social media, he may watch my channel. I don't know. But he's watching me. And most times when I read for y'all, it's the same thing. Your person is watching you. They always watching you, trying to keep tabs on you, trying to see what you're doing, but they running at the same time. If that don't sound crazy, I don't know what the hell else do. Okay. And then let me also say this. As this continued to go on, this connection continued to go on. And like I said, I was suffering because I was hurting. I was, in love and crying and upset and stuff because I had feelings for this dude, and this dude wasn't not acknowledging them, and he was running. And I just didn't know what to do with that. But like I said, I just kept pouring into myself, working on myself, trying to heal the triggers of the things that, that he brought out in me, because I had to remember, like I always tell y'all, if the pain isn't there, the person can act whatever way they want to act, and it's not going to do anything to you. Because think about it. Let's think about a word. Like let's just take the word motherfucker for an example, okay? Because I would use other things, but the other examples I'm getting are racial in nature, and I'm not wanting to offend anybody. I'm not wanting to offend anybody with the cursing either, but I got to tell this story the way I tell it. So for those of you who don't like the swear words, you gotta, if you want to hear this story, you're gonna hear them, because this is the way I feel like I need to tell my story. Okay. So with the word motherfucker, some people hear the word motherfucker and they laugh like me. I laugh when I hear it, right? But there's some people that hear the word motherfucker and they like, oh my God, I feel like you slapped me across the face. I feel like it's this. I feel like it's that. And the reason why is because the word motherfucker on some level for them is a trigger. Okay. And now let me tell you about this. I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins, right? And he has sections in the material that he produces like books and things like that, where he talks about triggers. And he says, you need to go through, you need to find all of the things that trigger you, all the trigger words that bother you. And you need to take the trigger out of them. You need to, you need to basically need to heal it. Because if you don't do that, it's like you're giving that other person a button to keep smashing to fucking irritate you. When all it is at the end of the day, it's a word. It's a word. Like fuck is for unlawful carnal knowledge. That's what that word means. And because, it has this negative, undertone, and the pejorative meaning and all this kind of stuff, it's been, for some people, it's blown up into this big thing. But for me, when I hear it, it makes me laugh because I'm laughing now. So I'm saying all of this to say, to give you an example of how something simple like a damn word that ain't even, or if somebody says motherfucking, they not talking about you, they just talking about whatever they're talking about. But to some other people, they may feel offended by it because something with them, they've had some type of experience where that word for them is offensive. And so if you take all of that stuff out of I ain't saying you got to get every single hot button that you got, that bothers you. But if you take out the majority of them, even if you find 50% of the stuff that bothers you and you deal with it, imagine how much easier your life will be. Imagine how people will be able to do stuff and you just be like, whatever. Because now, after a lot of the healing that I've done, I have people come up to me and just do some shit. And I'll be saying to myself in my mind, I'll be like, you know what? I've come pretty far. Because I said, if this was, a year or 2 years ago or whatever, or before the spiritual awakening started, I probably would want to be going off on this person. And I said, because of what I've done to get myself to a better place, I don't feel like that no more. It's just funny to me, So that's why I tell you, there's a reason behind all of the things that Spirit tells you to do. Sometimes it may not sound like it makes sense, or it may be counterintuitive to you, but there's a reason. So like, for instance, when I tell you this person is running, okay, you energetically chasing them, okay, them being triggered, number one, and you energetically chasing them, number two, is what causes them to run. Okay, so they're running from their wounds, they're running from the love that they have for you. And then, like I said, they can feel you pursuing them energetically. Because remember, I told you, I could tell, I could feel it and see it in my mind when my twin was getting ready to send me a damn text message. So you imagine any thoughts I think about him, he probably can feel them. Because think about it. Sometimes when you're not paying attention, because like, for instance, I blocked my twin, but we'll get to that. I blocked him energetically, but we're going to get to that in a minute. But if sometimes I'm not, I don't know, I get involved in something, or I'm watching TV, or I'm reading, or something like that, and the block slips, I'll catch a thought of him. Or sometimes if I wake up in the morning and you wake up in the morning and your block's not up because you've been sleeping all night, I'll get a thought from him. Okay. Or when he's like thinking about me at night, I can feel it. So I'm saying this to tell you that if I can feel this stuff from my twin, then imagine when you thinking your obsessive thoughts, you thinking all the things you thinking about them, they can feel that shit too. So if they're running and they feel you energetically chasing them, and then watching tarot, that's energetically chasing too. Because I had somebody the other day that came into the comments and had a nerve enough to tell me, no, this is not me. I'm not chasing. No, I'm not. And I said, yes, you are. Because if you're watching a tarot video about love, who in the hell do you think is going to come up in the reading if you're going through a twin flame situation? Let me tell you this. I did this. Well, let me say this. I like to watch tarot. I'm all about tarot. I like to read, and I like to be read, and I like to watch other readers. It's all of it's educational for me. I just love tarot. That's why I do what I do. Okay, I love cards. I love everything about being a tarot card reader. I love the sound, the sound of the cards, like when I shuffle. That is, look, that is so ASMR for me. I love that fucking sound. I could just sit with a deck of cards and just do this all day long. I just love it. I love everything about it. That's why I'm a tarot card reader. Okay, but I've always loved cards. Even like regular playing cards. I like to play cards. I love everything about cards. Okay, and I've always loved the metaphysical and all this type of stuff. I always delved into psychic things. It took years for me to realize that I was psychic. Let me say that, because I used to, like, for instance, my number one clair. I have several clairs. I'm clairvoyant, I'm clairaudient, clair cognizant, and I'm what's the other one? I can't remember. I think clairsentient, I think, is what it is, where you can touch, because I can touch stuff. I can touch stuff and pull and get energy off of it. But anyway, I had all of these abilities. And for years when I was younger, I thought I didn't have any. And I remember I always wished, I was like, oh, these people, the people that would complain about being psychic and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I wish I could be psychic and stuff like that. But one thing about me that I always remembered was my mind. I I had a radio. I always have a radio station in my head 24/7, all day long. I'm hearing songs. All day long, I'm hearing songs. Okay. And I used to just think, I'd be like, you know what? I'm hearing this song. I'm like, I can't get this damn song out of my head. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I used to get upset about it, because I used to think something was wrong with me, that I would hear these songs and sometimes they would just play and play and play and play. And what I didn't understand is I'm clairaudient. That's one of the ways spirit talks to me. Like when I'm sitting at this table with y'all, you hear me all the time tell you, oh, I hear this song, or oh, I hear that. And it'll be something, somebody will always come up to me and say, yeah, that's the song. That song means this and this and that, or whatever, whatever, whatever. Or if spirit wants to talk to me about something sometimes and I'm not at the table or whatever, they'll tell me through the song. They'll pull a song up and tell me, like give me an example. One day years ago, it was going through this twin flame situation. I got mad at them because I wanted to just be with my person, and I was just tired of all this twin flame stuff. So we got into an argument. I got into an argument with them, right? So I'm like, oh, you don't want to help me and this and that, and how long do I have to go through this and all this kind of stuff. It was like years ago. It's so funny now. It wasn't funny then, it was funny now. So I remember, that song by Twisted Sister, because I listen to all kinds of music. I'm very eclectic. I listen to all types of music. I listen to anything. Heavy metal. I used to go to Metallica concert. I listen to anything, right? Anything, rap, all this. I listen to everything. So there's this song by, I think it's Twisted Sister. I think that's what it is. The guy with the long blonde hair and his curly hair. I'm pretty sure it's him. And it's a song called We're Not Gonna Take It. It goes, we're not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna take it. We're not gonna take it anymore. That song, right? So got mad at spirit and was having this argument with spirit. And spirit said, okay, we're gonna fix her ass. And they started playing that damn Twisted Sister song in my head, and they wouldn't stop for days, all day long. Every day I hear this song in my damn head, until I just was like this. And it got to the point where I was like, I'm sorry. And I know they was laughing at me because they fixed my ass. They played that song over and over and over again in my head until I thought I was gonna lose it. So I said all that to say that I am clairaudient. I'm clairvoyant. I used to see things. But what it was is I never. You have before you realize what your psychic abilities entail, I think I had an idea in my mind of what it was supposed to be like. Because, you watch those movies and you see all that shit and you think, oh, it's supposed to be all spectacular. Wah, 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 wah. But what it is just the normal shit for you. So, like, for me, hearing those songs all the time, like, for instance, if I'm worrying about something really badly, they'll play a song like, oh gosh, Stevie Wonder. Don't worry about it. Don't you worry about a thing. I remember there was something I was worrying about really bad. I think it had to do with money, like years ago. And I remember them playing that song in my head, just don't worry about a thing. And I was like, oh, so they telling me, that's when I started to catch on that they was telling me about stuff, or if there's something I need to pay attention to, or be, they'll pick out a song that has, and if you listen to the lyrics or look up the lyrics, there's a reason why they're sending it to me. So, like I said, there's a reason why the things that you're going through them. Okay. If certain triggers are coming up, or certain patterns are coming up over and over and over again, it's because Spirit is trying to get your attention to tell you need to heal these things. Because it doesn't just have to do with the relationship that you have with your twin flame. These are things that are blocking you in other areas of your life. And that's why you're being told to deal with them. And I know nobody wants to heal. I know it sucks. I don't enjoy it. I love the hell out of some damn personal development, but some days I don't want to heal shit either. Okay. We hear on that. Okay. But I know that in order for me to be the best version of myself that I can be, and to be able to sit at this table and help y'all through what y'all are going through, I have to try to be as on top of my game as possible. Okay. So I'm telling you all of this because I want y'all to understand that I understand what you're going through. Okay. I understand how hard it is. I understand how difficult it is. And when all of this was going on with me and my twin, I felt like y'all feel. I felt hopeless. I felt depressed. I felt like I wasn't ever going to be able to overcome this. But that's what this is about, for you to understand that you could overcome anything. That's what this journey has taught me, that I've been hurt many times in my life and had a lot of fucked up shit happen to me, but I've overcome it. I'm still here. Things that I thought like were going to devastate me, and I was never going to recover from it. I got over it, and I'm stronger and better for it. And like I said, if I can do that, then you can do that too. Okay. So now let's go back to the story, because we're not through. So where were we at? So like I said, he's running, right? I told him how I felt. I'm feeling some kind of way because I did it. I'm feeling like a fool throughout the whole thing, because I feel like at the point that he approached me, I was at a good place. I was in a good place in my life. I'm back to that good place now, but I'm going to tell you how I got there. So I was in a good place in my life. I have really learned to love myself and to put myself and my needs first and stop putting other people first. I have learned to stop bending over backwards and doing anything for other people just to get them to pay attention to me, or to get them to treat me the way that I deserve to be treated. And I've started to let go of a lot of motherfuckers that don't deserve to be around me. Okay. But you don't get to that point if you don't learn how to love yourself. You don't get to that point if you don't heal your triggers. You have to get to a point where you're okay losing people who shouldn't have been in your life, or don't deserve the treatment that you give anyway. Because I don't know about y'all, but I suspect that you're the same way. Like me, when I love hard. It's not a halfway thing, or I'm just gonna love you 1/3, or I'm gonna no. When I love you with all I got. And so this journey has taught me that is a priceless thing, and that is not something I need to be given out like it's damn, candy. I shouldn't be giving it out like that. And I'm not saying this to say I'm going to hide behind a wall and I'm not going to let anybody in. That's not what I'm saying. Because you shouldn't be doing that either. You You got to stay away from the extremes. Okay. What I'm telling you with this, when I tell you this, is that you have to learn to be discerning. We talk about this all the time on the channel, right? You have to learn to be discerning, and you have to slow down and not be so impulsive, because that was a problem with me. That's why the stuff I'm telling you about are things that I've experienced. I would rush into stuff. I would rush into friendships. I would rush into relationships. I would rush into these things because deep down inside, I felt lonely and I felt alone. But what was missing, it wasn't the other people, it was the love that I needed to be giving myself. Okay. And so I got to a point, actually, it was this year, where I said, you know what? I'm going to leave all these outside people alone, and I'm just going to focus on me. I went into hermit mode, and I just started to love myself. I started to love myself like I was the only person on this damn planet. Okay. I just poured into myself and poured into myself and poured into myself. And lo and behold, that's when my life started to change. Okay. Like I said, I got activated with the real twin. And one thing I can tell you, this is why I know the difference. This is one thing that was different in the twin flame journeys with the false flame and with the real flame. The real flame. With the false flame, that was back when I really didn't love myself the way I should have. Okay. I didn't shine bright like a diamond like I do now, because I feel that's what I tell myself. That's what I feel about myself, because I love the fuck out of myself now. And can't nobody take that from me. Okay. So I wasn't on that level when I was with the false flame. So the things that was happening that were similar to what was happening with the real twin, oh my God, it was like the end of the world for me. And I just felt like I was never, ever going to be able to recover. But now, even while all these painful things were happening with the real twin, I knew it was like I was hurting. But the best way to explain it was like I was watching myself hurting. Not that I didn't feel the pain, because I felt the pain, but it was somewhat distant, because the self-love was like a cloak, or like a piece of armor that I was wearing. You know, like that old armor back in the day that they wore with the silver helmets, and it's all this stuff all the way down to the feet, like everything's covered. You even wear whatever, the metal gloves and all this stuff. I feel like the love that I have for myself is like a coat of armor like that, and it protects me from fucked up things. It, like I said, it still hurts. It still hurts, because if you loving somebody and you letting them in, there's always that element. There's always that chance that you're going to get hurt, because people are doing the best that they can at the time that they can. And when people can do better, they will do better, right? But what you have to understand is you have to love on yourself and protect yourself by, like I said, healing those triggers, so that you have that coat of armor, that suit of armor. And when they do hurt you, it won't be detrimental. It won't be devastating. It won't be the end of the world, because those were the words that I used to explain or to describe the pain and the hurt that I went through with the false flame. But with the twin flame, it hurt. I ain't gonna sit here and lie. It hurt, and it's like burning hurt. And I remember one day I went in the place where the person works, because I had to go in there, and I just was like, after a certain period of time, I just couldn't take it anymore. And I was like, I got to go, because I'm starting to feel some type of way. And when I feel like that, I just started loving on myself. Because I told you, that feeling, that hurt, that pain, it is your soul calling you back to itself. Okay? And that's why I tell you, focus on the self-love. And I understand, because when you want to be loved, you're not looking to get no love from yourself. You're looking to get love from outside. But I'm trying to tell you the secret, okay? The secret to how you get that love that you want from the outside is by loving yourself first, because that is what attracts the love from the outside, okay? So a relationship with a person outside of you is just a manifestation of how you feel about yourself. So if you feel like, you the baddest bitch or the baddest dude, or, you shine bright like a diamond, the other person is going to feel like that about you too. But if you feel like, oh, I'm this, or I'm no good, it's not gonna work, and I'm a, if you feel like you're a failure, if you feel like this and you feel like that, then that is the way everybody else is gonna see you too. You have to remember that. You have to always remember that life is a mirror. It is a reflection of how you feel about yourself. So if there's something going on in your life, collective, that you feel like you can't get it together, you got to take a look at your relationship with yourself. You got to take a look at your self-love and see what's going on. Okay. Self-love is one of the most important things. It's the important thing, the most important thing, I would say, in this journey is for you to love yourself no matter what. Even when you get into a relationship, even when you find that person, the love and the care that you pour into yourself, that's what's going to keep everything going. So let me say this. Let's move on with the story. So far, I haven't heard anything else from my twin. Okay. The place that they were working at, I don't think they work there anymore. Spirit, told me some things, but I'm not gonna talk about that. But like I said, I don't think they're there anymore. And there hasn't been any communication, not for me, because I got rid of the person's phone number, and I didn't block them. I just got rid of the phone number so that I wouldn't ever have the inclination or the desire. I said, if it ever comes up, I can't talk to them anyway, because I don't have a way to contact them. And so I knew I wouldn't go looking for them face to face. So I said, just get rid of the phone number. So that's what I did. And so after I did that, I still was going through like a lot of pain and a lot of stuff like that. And then I was having a conversation with Spirit, and Spirit started to tell me about a new person, okay? Because they realized that this person, my twin, wasn't treating me the way I deserved to be treated, that I was doing the things that they had asked me to do, even though sometimes I might have been dragging my feet doing them, because, the twin flame journey is arduous and you got a lot going on. You're focusing on trying to heal yourself. You thinking about this person, you're trying to navigate all the other aspects of your life, and it's not always easy. So that's why I tell you, focus on your passion. I took the pain and I alchemized it by, going full force into reading cards. I focus on myself. I make sure I love on myself as much as I can every day. I do things to take care of myself. I do what I can to balance myself. I'm kind of a workaholic, and I have to that's something that I'm working on, trying to make sure I balance. But I'm taking days off when I can and doing things I can to try to keep myself on an even keel. Because remember, I told you, Spirit tells you it's all about balance, right? So because of this, I told you they started to tell me about somebody new coming in, because they had been telling me that there's going to be a choice. All right. So what this is if you're doing what you're supposed to do, right? This is why I'm telling y'all, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're healing yourself, you're focusing on your passions, you're doing the things you're supposed to do, there's going to be a second option, another person, a new love that comes in. If your person is not getting it together, and my person wasn't getting it together, they was running off. I came to find out that Spirit knew that this person wasn't ever going to get it together in a timely manner. Let me say, in a timely manner. I'm not saying that they won't ever come to Jesus and have their moment and stuff like that. I'm not saying that they won't do that. But what I am saying is that if they don't do it in a timely manner, the second option comes in, or other option. It could be more than one option, depending on upon the person. But like I said, Spirit has told me about the new person. They've shown me who the person is. I know who it is. And from the time that that happened and I saw my person, I woke up. It's like I went to sleep one night and I woke up, and all of the longing and the pain and the obsession and all that stuff is gone. I'm not going to say, I don't have little moments, where I may wobble a little bit, or a little wistfulness, because that was my twin. But Spirit has taken away that soul contract, and now I have a new one with my new person. So my new person is about to come in, according to what Spirit is telling me, any day now. And I can feel it. I can feel it. They don't even have to tell me. I can feel me in my person coming together, because it's like this every day. It's getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And just like I told you, I used to wake up and have, visions of my twin. Now I wake up and I see the new person. So I'm excited about this. Okay. Like I said, the pain, all that stuff that was going on, it used to be like up here. It's way down here, almost non-existent now. And so what you have to do is focus on, turning away from the twin. Like I told you, you're supposed to do that anyway, but you need to focus on turning away from the twin and just, jumping head first into your life. Okay. And just do what it is you're supposed to do. And when the time is right, your new person will come along, because they had been telling me there was somebody new, but I was so consumed with what was happening with the twin that it didn't really register, or like, to me, because the person, I guess it was just something they were telling me about, and they had been telling me about it for a long time, and that I would have a choice. I just thought it was going to be somewhere far off into the future, but apparently my person is imminent. They about to come in as soon as possible, as soon as possible, because they know who I am. I know who they are, but I don't think they know that I know who they are. Okay. So they've already told me about this person. They've already told me what's supposed to, go down between the two of us, and how this person is the antithesis. They're complete opposite of my twin. Okay. So that's why I wanted to make this video, because I wanted to let y'all know that there is hope. Okay. I am in a better place now. I don't hurt and long and obsess like I used to for my twin. That's like almost completely gone, but I can still feel him in my energy. But it's different now, because I can also feel the new person in my energy, and that energy is strong, and I'm latching on to that, and letting this slowly fade away. I've done things to energetically let this person know, the twin know, that I'm done. I have no desire to be, even if they get themselves together and were to come back to me today and be like, oh, let's try it, I want to be with you. Even if they come to Jesus and they come back in the right energy, and there's no more ego and no more pride, and they've done the work on themselves, I still don't want it. And it's not that I'm bitter or I'm angry about what happened between us, because I was at one point, and I was for a good solid 2 months, because I was so hurt by what happened, and I felt like I didn't deserve it. But I had to realize that all of this stuff had to happen for a reason, because I had to learn the lesson of putting myself first, and that if somebody is not pouring into me, I don't pour into them. Okay. So like I said, this new person is coming. They showed me who it was. Okay. So that's how I know. And I know the minute I saw them, I knew that without them, because like in the beginning, they told me the person was coming, right? Then they showed me who it was. And I was like, as soon as I saw them, I knew exactly what spirit was telling me. And I knew that was the new person before they actually said, this is them. I knew that was them. So, like I said, I'm excited. This person is coming. This is going to end up being my forever person, the person that I end up with, and not the twin. And like I told you, I feel, spirit, I come to find out that spirit knew that this person wasn't ever going to get themselves together in time. And so what they've been telling me is that when the new person comes in, that this old person, the twin, is going to come and try to want to be with me and want to tell me the truth and all this kind of stuff. Because from what I'm hearing, they feel like the new person is just a placeholder for them to come back and get me whenever they feel like it, or either they were expecting me to sit there like by myself for the rest of my life. Because let me tell you this person, my person, was in a third party when they I think they had been in a third party before they even contacted me. And before they even asked for my phone number, I felt like they were in a third party. I don't know if like maybe they left the person temporarily and then started to talk to me. But this person, I come to find out that my twin is not the most honest person, in the world. And that a lot of things that, was happening and what I was being told wasn't the truth. And so, like I said, spirit has shown me the truth, and that they're in something with somebody right now, but pissed off that I'm moving on. But I can't worry about that anymore. That's none of my business anymore. I don't even want to know anything else about them, because like I told you, I've, come to Jesus about the situation. I appreciate the lessons that I learned, but like I said, that whole situation, it just left a really bad taste in my mouth. But I forgive them for what happened, because I got to move on. I can't keep that stuff in my energy and then expect to go into a relationship with somebody else and not hold it against them. Okay. So I'm happy. I'm looking forward to what's going on. The channel is doing really well. When I told you what um I was out working all the hours. I was working all the hours to get another car. I got a brand new car, and I got new love coming in my channel is going really well. So I'm telling you all of this to tell you that keep hope alive. Okay. If you do what you're supposed to do and pour into yourself and love on yourself, you can fix your situation. It doesn't have to be fucked up. It doesn't have to be messed up. You don't have to go through the things that, you're going through for the rest of your life. Cause that's what I thought. Cause I was just like, oh, maybe this is what it is. That's what I was starting to believe. Cause think about it. Remember, I told you I've been through this twice. I went through it once with a false flame, and then I went through it again with the real twin flame. So nobody can tell me anything about the twin flame journey, because I've been through it 2 times. I've been through Dark Night of the Soul twice. I've been through quite a few things, and I'm not trying to what is it? What do they call it? Like, it's not a competition or anything like that. But I just want y'all to know that when I'm talking to y'all and when spirit is talking to me and when we're talking about this stuff, I truly am coming from a place of knowing exactly what's going on, or coming from a place of actually experiencing the things that we're talking about. Okay. Because some people, like I said, they read for twin flames and things like that. And there's, no shade or nothing against them at all. But what I'm saying is, until you really experience a twin flame, and there's a lot of readers that I've seen in the past, quite a few, let me say a few, I ain't gonna say quite a few, but there's been a few that I've seen that have let us know that they're on a twin flame journey too. I feel like those are the ones that truly understand what you're going through, because they've actually felt the pain and felt the devastation and felt the depression. Okay. But you can fix your life. That's what this video is about, to let you know that, to keep hope alive. You can fix your life. There are positive things, a lot of positive things that come out of this. That's why I tell y'all to fix your stuff and focus on yourself and go after your passions, because when you have a choice, and when you decide to turn away from your twin and let spirit know, I'm not putting up with this bullshit anymore, you get rewarded. So these things that I'm telling you about, the new love, my vehicle, the channel, all of these things are a byproduct of me doing what I could to follow spirit's instructions. And it wasn't in no way, 100%, foolproof process. I had times where I didn't want to do it. I had times when I got pissed. I told you about the song. They played the song in my head for 2 or 3 days because I was going off. Because I'm like, just give me my version, and let's start with all this BS. Let's start with all this pain and all this anguish. So like I said, trust me, I understand all about the twin flame journey. So when I talk to you about it, it's not just preaching. It's because I care about y'all. And if the things that I've gone through can help y'all get through what you're going through, or make you feel like you're not alone and that somebody is out there and cares about what you're doing, then like I said, I feel like my job is done. Okay? So don't give up. Okay? Like I had a reading for Aquarius. If y'all look at the reads that I put out last week, I had titles on some of them, but then I switched them all to a generic title. But if you see Aquarius's read, it has a title, and I put that title there specifically to call in the people that are supposed to watch that video, because a lot of them, I'm not saying it's not happening in the other zodiac collectives. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, this, out of all the readings that I did last week, Aquarius's read was the one where people were starting to like really do what they were supposed to do, and the results were starting to show. Okay? So like I said, please don't give up. Please keep working on what's going on. I'm going to be here reading for y'all every week. I'm going to start putting up polls so y'all can tell me what it is that you want me to read on. And then I do have plans to start to go live. I got a lot of projects and a lot of ideas in the works about what I want to do with this channel. So I'm here. I'm gonna do all I can to help y'all. And trust me, I understand what you're going through. And I know there are times when you want to give up and you want to just throw this shit down and just be like, fuck this shit, and fucking go away. I get it. Trust me, we here on that when it comes to that. Okay? Because like I said, I'm going through this, and I'm sure there's other people out there going through the same thing, and trying to grieve someone this second time going through it, because the first time it was just all about me and what was going on with me and this and the false flame. It had nothing to do with anything else. So this second time, it was even harder, because of my grandmother. It was really hard, and as you can see, sometimes it still hits me. I'm still going through it. So, and I'll probably go through it for the rest of my life. I'm talking about the grief for my grandmother. But don't give up. Things have turned around for me, and I know if they turn around for me, they can turn around for all of you. Okay? All right, so I'm here for you. I love y'all. I love you. I told you, when I love you, I don't love you half. I don't love you 1/3. I love you with all I got. This channel has changed my life in so many ways. And I thank y'all. I thank y'all from the bottom of my heart for every comment, every like, every time y'all watch my videos. I thank y'all because this was something I've always wanted to do. And even though I may not have 100,000 subscribers, the ones that I do have, y'all rock with me hard, and I rock with y'all the same way. Okay, so I love y'all. Don't ever think that I don't, or that your presence here doesn't mean anything to me, because there's been many days when I felt alone, and I would read a comment or have an interaction with y'all that totally just changed the way I felt for that day. Okay, so I love y'all with all I got, and thank you so much for your support and all the things that y'all do to show me that you care about me just as much as I care about you, and that you support me just as much as I support you. Okay? All right. I wish y'all the best. All right. Bye.